Little girl buys diapers alone. Officer sees her belly and panics. Before we dive into the story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. The summer heat shimmered across the parking lot of Valley Market as Officer Ryan Harris pulled his patrol car alongside the cart return. A routine call about an unattended child, something that happened nearly every week in this busy shopping center. Normally, it meant a quick reunion with distracted parents and a gentle reminder about safety. But this call would be different. Through the wavering heat, he spotted her, a small figure standing perfectly still amid the chaos of shopping carts and hurried customers. A little girl, perhaps 6 years old, with worn clothes that hung from her thin frame and tangled brown hair that hadn't seen a brush in days. But it was her eyes that caught Ryan's attention first, solemn, watchful, far too serious for a child so young. Then he noticed her stomach, strangely distended, protruding noticeably against her faded t-shirt. In her arms, she clutched an oversized package of diapers, her small fingers white-knuckled with determination. "Hi there," Ryan said, crouching to her. Level. 20 years on the force had taught him how to make his 6-foot frame less intimidating to children. "I'm Officer Harris. Are you waiting for someone?" The girl studied him, her gaze lingering on his badge before meeting his eyes. "They had to go away," she said simply, her voice barely audible above the parking lot noise. Ryan looked around, scanning for any adults who might be watching from a distance. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lucy," she replied after a long pause. "That's a pretty name. Where's your mom or dad, Lucy?" Her expression didn't change. "Far away." Ryan nodded, keeping his face neutral despite the concern building within him. "And who brought you to the store today?" "I came to get these." She adjusted the diapers in her thin arms. "He's going to need them soon. I promised." A chill ran through Ryan despite the heat. "Who needs them, Lucy?" Her eyes widened slightly, suddenly cautious. "My brother." Ryan maintained his gentle smile while reaching for his radio. A quick check would tell him if there were reports of a missing child matching her description. "How about we sit in my car where it's cool while we figure this out?" "It's awful hot." "Out here." Lucy hesitated, her eyes darting toward the store entrance as if expecting someone to appear. Then she looked down at the diapers in her arms. "I need to take these to him," she insisted, her voice trembling slightly. "We'll make sure they get to him," Ryan promised. "But first, let's get you some water and cool off, okay?" As they walked to his patrol car, Ryan noticed how Lucy walked with careful, measured steps, one hand occasionally moving to her swollen belly with a wince she tried to hide. In the car, while Lucy sipped water from a bottle, Ryan ran her name through the system. Lucy Mercer, age 6. No reports of a missing child matching her description. More concerning, no record of any siblings. When he asked who she was staying with, she looked out the window and whispered, "If I tell, they'll find us." As they drove away, Lucy turned in her seat, watching the store entrance with such intense worry that Ryan found himself checking the rearview mirror, wondering who might be watching them leave. He didn't know it yet, but this small, solemn child with the mysterious swollen belly and a package of diapers for her brother would change the course of many lives, especially his own. The bright fluorescent lights of Oak Ridge Elementary School created a stark contrast to Lucy's somber demeanor. Ryan had brought her here knowing the guidance counselor, Sarah Mitchell, would be preparing for the upcoming school year even during summer break. "You're doing great, Lucy," Ryan assured her as they walked down the empty hallway, their footsteps echoing against the colorful walls decorated with student artwork. He noticed how Lucy's eyes darted to each exit sign, how she measured each step carefully, as if conserving energy. Sarah welcomed them into her office, a warm space with child-sized furniture and shelves of books. "Hello there," she greeted Lucy with a gentle smile. "Would you like to draw while Officer Harris makes some calls?" Lucy accepted the offered crayons and paper without a word, but rather than drawing, she simply held the blue crayon, her eyes fixed on the door. "I've contacted Child Services," Ryan explained quietly to Sarah. Something's not right. She was alone in a parking lot, buying diapers for a brother that doesn't exist in any records. And her condition. He glanced meaningfully at Lucy's distended stomach. Sarah nodded with understanding. I'll stay with her until they arrive. An hour later, Maggie Donovan walked into the office. At 62, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen it all in her decades as a social worker. Silver hair framed a face lined with wrinkles, and behind her glasses were eyes that missed nothing. Lucy studied Maggie intently as the woman settled into a chair beside her. Hello, Lucy. My name is Maggie, she began, her voice warm but not overly sweet, the voice of someone who wouldn't lie just to make a child feel better. I understand you've had quite a morning. Lucy remained silent, but her grip on the crayon loosened slightly. I see you haven't drawn anything yet, Maggie observed. That's okay. Sometimes it's hard to know where to begin. Ryan watched from across the room as Maggie gently established rapport, using techniques honed from years of working with traumatized children. Yet Lucy revealed very little. She would not disclose where she lived, and she flinched when asked about her parents. If I tell, they'll find us, she whispered, her eyes darting to the windows. When Maggie carefully asked about Lucy's swollen abdomen, the girl's response sent chills through the room. Sometimes things move around inside me at night, Lucy said matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. Then she added, Grandma says it's because of the special food. Ryan and Maggie exchanged concerned glances. While Lucy used the restroom, accompanied by Sarah, Ryan shared his worries. I've seen a lot in 20 years on the force, but something about this case. He hesitated. I can't explain it, but I feel personally invested already. Maggie nodded. My nursing background before social work tells me that child needs medical attention soon. Her distension could indicate several serious conditions. She glanced toward the door. But rushing her to a hospital might traumatize her further. She's clearly terrified of something. Or someone. Or protecting someone, Ryan added, thinking of the diapers. And the mysterious brother. When Lucy returned, Maggie explained they would find her a safe place to stay while they sorted things out. The girl's only response was to ask, in a voice barely audible, Can I keep the diapers with me? He's going to need them. Who is he, Lucy? Maggie asked gently. Lucy looked up, her eyes suddenly fierce with protection. I promised I would help him. He's just a baby. He can't help himself. As they prepared to leave, Lucy turned to Ryan with unexpected intensity. Will you come check on me later? You have a badge. They're afraid of badges. Who is afraid of badges, Lucy? Ryan asked, kneeling to her level. But Lucy had returned to silence, her small hand unconsciously moving to rest on her swollen belly as she looked out the window at the darkening sky. Twilight had descended by the time Ryan completed the necessary paperwork at the station. His shift had ended 3 hours ago, but he couldn't bring himself to go home. Something about Lucy's situation had hooked itself deep in his conscience. Pulling overtime again, Harris? Captain Reynolds asked, pausing at Ryan's desk. Just wrapping up this case, sir. Ryan gestured to the forms. The little, girl from the parking lot? The captain's expression softened. Donovan called, said you went above and beyond today. Ryan shrugged. Something doesn't add up. No missing child reports, no record of siblings, and her physical condition. He hesitated. I just want to make sure she's settled in. Properly. The captain studied him thoughtfully. Follow your instincts. They've served you well for 20 years. At the emergency children's shelter, Ryan found Maggie sitting in the small dining area while Lucy picked at a plate of chicken nuggets and apple slices. Officer Harris. Lucy's face brightened momentarily, the first real emotion he'd seen from her. Just checking in as promised, he said, taking a seat at the table. How are those nuggets? Lucy glanced at her plate. They're good, she said politely, though she'd barely touched them. Ryan noticed how she carefully tore one nugget in half, wrapping it in a napkin before slipping it into her pocket with practiced stealth. When she saw him watching, Lucy froze, her eyes widening with fear. "It's okay," Ryan assured her quickly. "Are you saving that for later?" Lucy nodded cautiously. "For when the food runs out," she explained, as if this were perfectly normal behavior. Maggie and Ryan exchanged glances. "The food won't run out here, Lucy," Maggie explained gently. "There will always be more when you're hungry." Lucy looked unconvinced. That's what they always say at first. The simple statement revealed volumes about her past experiences. Later, as Maggie helped Lucy prepare for bed in the small private room she'd been assigned, Ryan waited in the hallway. This wasn't protocol. His job had technically ended at the station, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Lucy's case was somehow meant for him. Maggie emerged looking troubled. "She's hiding something in her shoe," she whispered. "Didn't want to push it tonight, but she's clearly been taught to conceal important items." Ryan nodded. "Want me to try?" Inside the room, Lucy sat cross-legged on the bed, already dressed in donated pajamas. Several sizes too large. She was methodically arranging her few belongings on the nightstand. The blue crayon from earlier, a hair elastic, and the package of diapers, which she seemed unwilling to let out of her sight. "That's a good system you have there," Ryan commented, sitting in the small chair beside the bed. Lucy nodded seriously. "Grandma says always keep important things where you can grab them quick if you have to run." Ryan's heart tightened. "You've had to run a lot?" Lucy shrugged, not meeting his eyes. "Sometimes. I noticed you have something special in your shoe." "Ryan too," said gently. "Must be pretty important to keep it there." Lucy's hand instinctively moved toward her worn sneakers on the floor. After a moment's hesitation, she reached inside one shoe and pulled out a folded, worn photograph. "It's the only picture of Grandma I have," she explained, carefully. Unfolding it, Ryan glimpsed an elderly woman with kind eyes standing before a building with a partially visible sign that read, "Sunshine." "May I?" he asked, holding out his hand. Lucy hesitated before placing the precious photo in his palm, watching him intently as if ready to snatch it back at any sign of disrespect. "She looks like a kind person, your grandma," Ryan observed. "She is," Lucy said firmly, then corrected herself with a whisper. "She was." The slip made Ryan's police instincts sharpen. "Is your grandma the person you were living with, Lucy?" Lucy reclaimed the photo, pressing it to her chest. "I can't tell you where home is. They said they'd take me away if anyone found out." "Who said that, Lucy?" "The men who made Daddy go away." Her voice had dropped to barely a whisper. "They're still looking." As Ryan left her room, he found Maggie waiting in the hallway. "She mentioned her grandmother and father," he reported, "and that they are still looking for her." Maggie frowned. "There's so much more to this story than an abandoned child." Ryan nodded, his decision already made. "I'll be back first thing tomorrow. Whatever this is, I'm seeing it through." Morning. Sunlight streamed through the windows of the children's shelter as Ryan arrived, carrying a paper bag from Sally's bakery. He found Maggie in the common room, watching Lucy from a distance as she sat alone, carefully folding a piece of construction paper. "Brought breakfast," Ryan said, offering Maggie a coffee. "Any changes overnight?" Maggie accepted the cup gratefully. She slept fitfully. The night supervisor heard her talking in her sleep, something about promises and keeping secrets. She lowered her voice, and she refused to let the staff check her physically during morning routine. Came quite distressed when they tried to look at her stomach. Ryan nodded, processing this information as he watched Lucy. "I did some digging on that photo. The sign in the background says, Sunshine Laundromat. It's on the east side of town." "Good detective work," Maggie said with approval. "What's your plan?" "I'll head there after this, see what I can find out." He held up the bakery bag. "Mind if I have a moment with her first?" Lucy looked up as Ryan approached, her small hands stilling on her paper project. "Brought you something," Ryan said, sitting beside her and opening the bag, to reveal a blueberry muffin. "Thought you might like a special breakfast." Lucy eyed the muffin with cautious interest. "Thank you," she said politely, though she made no move to take it. It's okay, Ryan assured her. It's just for you. Slowly, Lucy reached for the muffin, her expression softening as she took a small bite. It's sweet, she said with surprise, as if sweetness was an unexpected luxury. Lucy, Ryan began gently, I'm going to look for some clues today about your grandma. Would that be okay? Fear flickered across her face. They might be watching the laundry place. Ryan tried to hide his surprise that she'd deduced his plan. Who might be watching, Lucy? She took another tiny bite of muffin, chewing slowly before answering. The men in the dark car. They came looking for Daddy. Then they came back looking for what he hid. And what did he hide, Lucy? Her hand moved unconsciously to her swollen stomach. I don't know, but they think I do. The gesture made Ryan's concern deepen. What did this child believe was happening to her body? I see you're making something, he said, changing tactics and pointing to her folded paper. Lucy nodded, carefully, unfolding her creation to reveal a surprisingly detailed drawing of a small room. There was a bed, a table, and most interestingly, a figure of an elderly woman holding what appeared to be a baby. Is that your grandma? Ryan asked. Lucy nodded. And that's Noah, she said, pointing to the infant in her drawing. I promised to bring him diapers because his mom had to go away too. Another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Noah is the baby you were getting diapers for. He needs the special kind with the blue line, Lucy explained earnestly. Grandma showed me how to know when they're wet. Ryan exchanged glances with Maggie, who had approached quietly. Lucy, Maggie asked, where is Noah now? Lucy's face clouded. I don't know. When Grandma got too sick to walk, she told me I had to find help. Her eyes welled with tears for the first time. I'm supposed to take care of him, I promised. An hour later, Ryan pulled into the cracked parking lot of Sunshine Laundromat. The building was weathered, with faded lettering that matched the sign in Lucy's photograph. Inside, the humid air smelled of detergent and fabric softener. A few patrons moved listlessly between machines, while a middle-aged man with thinning hair manned the counter. Help you, officer? The man asked, eyeing Ryan's uniform warily. Ryan produced the photograph. I'm trying to locate this woman and her granddaughter. We believe they may have frequented this establishment. The man barely glanced at the photo. A lot of people come through here. This would be an elderly woman with a young girl, about 6. The child has a medical condition that makes her stomach appear swollen. A flicker of recognition crossed the man's face before he masked it. Don't recall anyone like that. Ryan was about to press further when his phone rang. Maggie. Ryan, you need to get back here. Her voice was tense. Lucy's condition has worsened. She's in considerable pain, clutching her stomach and saying, it's moving more today. She's asking for you specifically. On my way, Ryan said, but as he turned to leave, a maintenance worker mopping nearby caught his eye, giving a subtle headshake. The man followed Ryan outside. Listen, the worker said in a low voice, glancing nervously at the laundromat. There's a back building. Not supposed to talk about it. People come and go there that don't want to be found. He hesitated. If you're looking for that little girl's grandma, that's where I'd start. But be careful. Some folks are real interested in who stays there. As Ryan drove back to the shelter, pieces of the puzzle swirled in his mind. A hidden room, a mysterious baby named Noah, men in dark cars, and at the center of it all, a brave little girl carrying secrets too heavy for her small shoulders. Dusk had settled over the city by the time Ryan obtained the search warrant. The day had been a whirlwind, Lucy's condition deteriorating, rushing her to the children's hospital, and the frantic calls to expedite the warrant process. Now, as he pulled up to Sunshine Laundromat after closing hours, the building stood dark and silent. Detective Martinez waited in an unmarked car nearby. Took some doing to get this warrant on such limited information, she remarked as they approached the building. Your captain must really trust your instincts. Let's hope those instincts are right, Ryan replied, thinking of Lucy's pale face as the medical team had whisked her away for examination. Inside, the laundromat was eerily quiet, the machines still and shadowy. Ryan headed straight for the maintenance area, recalling the worker's tip about a back building. Behind a heavy metal door marked staff only, they discovered a narrow utility hallway. There, Ryan pointed to a section of wall that didn't quite match the rest. Closer inspection revealed a concealed door designed to blend seamlessly when closed. Clever, Martinez murmured, shining her flashlight on the hidden entrance. Someone went to a lot of trouble to keep this place secret. The door opened to reveal a connecting passage that led to a separate structure behind the main building. At the end was another door, this one secured with 3 separate locks. Someone definitely doesn't want visitors, Martinez noted as they worked their way through the locks. The door swung open to reveal a small, converted living space, essentially one room with makeshift dividers creating separate areas. A modest kitchenette occupied one corner, with dishes still in the sink and a kettle on the stove. A simple bed with a handmade quilt stood against the far wall, neatly made as if the occupant had expected to return. But it was the child's area that caught Ryan's attention. A small cot with faded but clean sheets, a stack of library books arranged by size, and a collection of carefully maintained second-hand toys. Someone had created a loving space with very limited resources. They left in a hurry, but not in a panic, Martinez observed, pointing to the organized closet where clothes were missing but not strewn about. On a small table, Ryan discovered what he'd been hoping to find: a ledger containing handwritten notes, medicine schedules, and what appeared to be delivery instructions. Beside it lay a medical dictionary open to a section on parasitic infections, with handwritten notes in the margin. "Look at this," Ryan called, pointing to a calendar on the wall with days marked in cryptic symbols. Today's date has a star and the word supplies written on it. "That explains why the girl was at the store," Martinez said. Ryan's phone rang, Maggie calling from the hospital. "How is she?" he asked immediately. "Not good." Maggie's voice was tight with worry. "Her fever's spiked, and they need to examine her abdomen properly, but she's become completely hysterical. She's convinced that if doctors look at her stomach, they'll find us and take what's inside." "Put her on the phone," Ryan said. After a moment, Lucy's small, frightened voice came through. "Officer Ryan." "I'm here, Lucy," he said gently. "I found your grandma's special room behind the laundromat." A sharp intake of breath. "Are they there? The men in the dark car?" "No, sweetheart. It's just me and another police officer. We're keeping it safe." He hesitated. "Lucy, the doctors need to help you feel better. They need to look at your tummy." "I can't," panic edged her voice. "Grandma said never trust doctors. They'll take what's inside and then they'll take me away forever." Ryan's eyes met Martinez's concerned gaze. "Lucy, remember how you trusted me with your grandma's photo? I need you to trust me again. These doctors are good people like Maggie. They just want to help the hurt in your tummy." Silence stretched for several heartbeats. "Will you come back soon?" Lucy finally whispered. "Grandma said people with badges can keep us safe." "I'm on my way right now," Ryan promised. As they carefully collected evidence from the hidden apartment, Ryan's mind raced. What had this child and her elderly grandmother been hiding from? What did Lucy believe was inside her body that others were seeking? And most urgently, where was the baby named Noah she was so determined to protect? In the corner, a small stuffed bear sat on the child's pillow, worn from years of love, one eye missing and replaced with a carefully sewn button, a silent witness to whatever secrets this hidden room contained. Children's Hospital glowed like a beacon against the night sky. As Ryan hurried through the sliding doors, the evidence bags from the hidden apartment securely stored in his vehicle. The antiseptic smell and hushed voices of the emergency department wrapped around him as a nurse directed him to pediatric room 3. He found Lucy curled on her side, her small face flushed with fever. Maggie sat beside the bed, gently stroking the child's hair, while a young doctor waited patiently nearby, clipboard in hand. Officer Ryan came back, just like he promised, Maggie said softly. Lucy's eyes fluttered open, relief washing over her features. You found Grandma's special room? I did, Ryan confirmed, settling into the chair on the opposite side of her bed. And guess what I brought? He produced the one-eyed teddy bear from behind his back. Lucy gasped, reaching for the stuffed animal with trembling hands. Mr. Button, she whispered, clutching the bear to her chest. You really did find our home. The doctor stepped forward. Lucy, now that Officer Ryan is here, do you think we could take a look at your tummy? It won't hurt, I promise. Fear clouded Lucy's eyes. Again, but Ryan gently took her hand. I'll stay right here the whole time. No one's going to take anything away from you. After a long moment, Lucy gave a tiny nod. The examination was brief but revealing. The doctor's expression remained professionally neutral, but Ryan caught the concerned glance she exchanged with the nurse. Lucy, the doctor said gently when finished, there's nothing mysterious or scary inside your tummy. You have something called parasites, tiny organisms that sometimes get into our bodies through certain foods or water. They're making you sick, but we have medicine that can make them go away. Lucy looked skeptical. But I can feel them moving. That's inflammation and irritation from the infection, the doctor explained. It can feel like movement. The good news is, once we start treatment, that feeling will stop. Will it hurt to make them go away? Lucy asked in a small voice. Just some medicine to swallow, the doctor assured her. We'll need to keep you here overnight for observation and to get your fever down, but you're going to be just fine. After the medical team left to prepare the treatment plan, Lucy seemed to deflate against her pillow, exhaustion evident in every line of her small body. You've been very brave, Maggie told her, adjusting the hospital blanket. Lucy's eyes moved between Ryan and Maggie, as if measuring them against some internal standard. Finally, she spoke. Grandma got sick, she whispered. Really? Sick. She couldn't walk to the store anymore. That's when she told me I had to be brave and get help. Ryan nodded encouragingly. You were incredibly brave, Lucy. We lived in that room for a long time, she continued, her voice strengthening. After Daddy had to go away, Grandma said people were looking for us, so we had to stay hidden. Who was looking for you, Lucy? Ryan asked gently. Men in dark cars. They came to our real house first, asking about things Daddy hid. When we didn't tell them, they got angry. She hugged Mr. Button tighter. That's when Grandma took me away in the night. We never went back. Maggie exchanged a glance with Ryan. And where is your grandmother now, sweetheart? Tears welled in Lucy's eyes. I don't know. She was too sick to move the day she sent me for diapers. She said if she wasn't there when I got back, I should find someone with a badge. Ryan thought of the neatly made bed in the hidden apartment. Had Eleanor Mercer known she wouldn't be returning? Lucy, he said carefully, you mentioned Noah needs diapers. Can you tell us more about him? Something shifted in Lucy's expression, a protective fierceness that transformed her. Features. Noah's mom lived next door to our secret home. She was sick a lot, she cried and shook sometimes. Grandma helped her. And where is Noah's mom now? Maggie asked. She had to go away. She cried when she left, said she'd come back but she didn't. Lucy's voice dropped to a whisper. Grandma taught me how to change Noah's diapers and make his bottles. She said I was a very good helper. A piece of the puzzle clicked into place for Ryan. The delivery instructions in the ledger, the careful notes about medication schedules. Had Eleanor been helping a neighbor struggling with addiction? Lucy, Ryan asked, do you know Noah's last name or his mother's name? Lucy thought for a moment. Ms. Amber. She lived in the building with the green door by the park. Noah has yellow hair and a star mark on his arm. She looked up at Ryan with sudden urgency. You have to find him. I promised Grandma I would make sure he was okay. As Lucy's eyes grew heavy with the medication beginning to take effect, she clutched Ryan's hand. Will you find Grandma too? She must be so worried about me. I'll do my very best, Ryan promised, his heart aching at the trust in her eyes. As Lucy drifted to sleep, still holding Mr. Button, Ryan and Maggie stepped into the hallway. "We need to find this baby," Maggie said with quiet urgency. "And Eleanor Mercer." Ryan nodded, his mind already mapping out the next steps. A building with a green door near a park, and a woman named Amber with infant son named Noah. The mystery was unfolding, but Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out for someone in this fragile web of connections. Morning light filtered through the blinds of Lucy's hospital room, casting gentle stripes across her sleeping form. The antibiotics and fever reducers had worked through the night, bringing her temperature down to safer levels. Ryan, who had dozed in the visitor's chair after his early morning investigation, straightened as Maggie entered with 2 coffee cups. "You look like you need this more than I do," she said, handing him a steaming cup. "Any luck identifying our mystery grandmother?" Ryan nodded, keeping his voice low to avoid waking Lucy. "Eleanor Mercer, age 68. Former elementary school teacher, retired 5 years ago, no criminal record." He sipped the coffee gratefully. "But her son, Michael Mercer, is a different story. He was under investigation for involvement in prescription medication distribution when he disappeared 18 months ago. Around the same time Eleanor and Lucy vanished from the system," Maggie noted. "Exactly. Records show Eleanor gained legal custody of Lucy 3 years ago after her mother's death from heart complications. They had a normal life. Apartment, school registration, regular doctor visits, until Michael's troubles began." Maggie's gaze drifted to Lucy, who slept peacefully clutching Mr. Button. "So Eleanor went into hiding to protect her granddaughter from people who thought Lucy might know where Michael hid something valuable," Ryan confirmed. "The question is, where is Eleanor now? And where is baby Noah?" A soft voice interrupted their conversation. "Are you talking about my grandma?" Lucy was awake, her eyes clearer than they had been since Ryan found her. "Good morning, sweetheart," Maggie smiled. "How are you feeling?" "My tummy doesn't hurt so much," Lucy replied, sitting up carefully. "The doctor said the wiggly things are getting smaller." "That's wonderful news," Ryan said, genuinely relieved. "The medicine is working." Lucy studied them, both with that unnervingly adult gaze. "Did you find Noah yet, or Grandma?" "Not yet," Ryan admitted, "but we're looking very hard. Can you tell us more about where Noah might be?" Lucy twisted the edge of her blanket. "I don't know exactly. When his mom didn't come back, Grandma said we had to be extra careful. She wouldn't let me go with her when she took him places." "What kinds of places did she take him?" Maggie asked gently. "To get checked by someone Grandma trusted. Not a regular doctor." Lucy's brow furrowed in concentration. "And to visit a lady with red hair who had baby things. Grandma said she was a friend who would help if something happened to us." Ryan made a mental note to look for a red-haired woman in the vicinity of the green-doored building. Later that morning, after Lucy had been examined again and pronounced significantly improved, a child life specialist arrived with art supplies. While Lucy worked on a drawing, Ryan spread a community newsletter on the bedside table. "I found this at the laundromat," he explained. "It shows different neighborhoods in our town. I thought maybe you might recognize where you used to go with your grandmother." Lucy studied the pages carefully, her finger tracing over images of local buildings. She suddenly stopped at a photo of a small park with distinctive curved benches. "That's where Noah's mom used to take us," she exclaimed. "Before she had to go away. We sat on that bench and she cried a lot." Lucy's voice dropped. Grandma would bring her medicine to make her stop shaking. Ryan exchanged a significant glance with Maggie. The park was Oakview Gardens, on the east side of town near several apartment complexes. "Was Noah's home near this park?" Ryan asked. Lucy nodded. "In the building with the green door, up the stairs and down a long hallway. Noah's room had stars on the ceiling that glowed in the dark." While Lucy returned to her drawing, Ryan stepped into the hallway to make a call to Detective Martinez. I need everything you can find on apartments near Oakview Gardens, specifically. Any building with a green entrance door. And check for any reports involving a woman named Amber with an infant son named Noah. By early afternoon, Lucy had improved enough to sit in a chair by the window, watching birds on the hospital lawn. Her artwork revealed surprising skill for a 6-year-old, detailed scenes of her life with her grandmother in the hidden room, including one particularly poignant image of Eleanor teaching her to hold a baby. "You're very good with babies, aren't you?" Maggie observed. Lucy nodded proudly. "Grandma said I was a natural. She taught me how to, test if the milk was too hot and how to burp Noah after his bottle." Her face clouded. "I was supposed to bring back Diapers. I hope he's okay." "We're doing everything to find him," Ryan assured her, just as his phone buzzed with a message from Martinez. The text contained an address and 3 words that made his pulse quicken. "Found green door." As Ryan prepared to leave, Lucy suddenly reached for his hand. "Officer Ryan, if you find Grandma, please tell her I kept my promise. I found someone with a badge, just like she said." The simple statement, delivered with such earnest faith, strengthened Ryan's resolve. This child had shouldered responsibilities far beyond her years, keeping promises that would challenge most adults. "I will, Lucy," he promised. "And I always keep my promises too." As he headed toward his car, Ryan couldn't shake the image of Lucy's newest drawing, a thus carefully rendered picture of himself, Maggie, and Lucy holding hands with the words, "My new friends," written in careful childish letters across the top. The building with the green door stood 5 stories tall, its faded brick facade suggesting better days long past. A weathered sign identified it as Parkview Apartments, though its view of Oakview Gardens Park was partially obscured by overgrown trees. Detective Martinez waited in the lobby, clipboard in hand. "Apartment 3B was rented to an Amber Collins until 4 months ago," she reported. 26 years old, single mother, paid 3 months' rent in advance, then vanished. Landlord has been trying to contact her but assumed she skipped town. "Any reports of an abandoned baby?" Ryan asked, a knot of concern tightening in his chest. "That's the strange part," Martinez replied. "No missing child reports, no welfare checks. Regarding an infant, it's like both mother and baby disappeared without raising any alarms." They climbed to the 3rd floor where the building manager unlocked 3B with a jangling key ring. "Been meaning to clear this place out," he grumbled. "Just haven't had the time." The apartment was small, but tidy with minimal furnishings. Signs of hasty departure were evident. Drawers left partially open, hangers empty in the closet. In what had clearly been a nursery, glow-in-the-dark stars still clung to the ceiling, just as Lucy had described. "She was telling the truth," Ryan murmured, examining a framed photo of a young woman with a newborn. The infant had wisps of blonde hair, matching Lucy's description of Noah. The manager hovered in the doorway. Nice young lady, kept to herself. Had some troubles, you could tell. But she doted on that baby. "Did you ever see an elderly woman visiting?" "For a little girl?" Ryan asked. The manager scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Now that you mention it, there was an older woman who checked on her sometimes, brought groceries, very dignified lady like a former teacher or something." "Eleanor Mercer," Ryan confirmed. "There was a little girl once, or twice, too. Solemn little thing. I figured it was family helping out." He hesitated. "Ms. Collins had difficulties. Some days better than others. I looked the other way when rent was late. She was trying, you know?" As they continued searching the apartment, Ryan found a small notebook tucked inside a kitchen drawer. The pages contained handwritten entries. "Eleanor brought formula today. Says Noah is gaining weight nicely. Tremors getting worse. Eleanor offered to watch N while I look into treatment options. Left N with E overnight. Longest we've been apart. Promised to call tomorrow." The final entry sent a chill through Ryan. "No choice but to go. 30 days to get clean. E will keep N safe until I return. Address for Hope Center on back page." Martinez peered over his shoulder. Hope Center is a rehabilitation facility in the next state. Strict no communication policy. For the first 2 weeks. Which means if something happened to Eleanor after Amber left, Ryan let the implication hang in the air. Back at the hospital, Ryan found Maggie and Lucy playing a board game in the pediatric day room. Lucy's improvement was remarkable. Her color had returned, and though her stomach remained somewhat distended, the doctor had confirmed the parasitic infection was responding well to treatment. "Officer Ryan," Lucy's face brightened. "Did you find Noah?" Ryan sat beside them, choosing his words carefully. "Not yet, but we found his home. Just where you said it would. Be with stars on the ceiling." Lucy nodded, unsurprised by his confirmation. "Lucy," Ryan continued gently, "we found a notebook that belonged to Noah's mom, Amber. She wrote that she had to go away for treatment, to help her get better, and that she left Noah with your grandmother." Lucy's expression grew serious. "Grandma said Ms. Amber was very sick, but not the kind of sick doctors can see right away. She said it was sick in her heart and her mind, and she needed special help." Ryan exchanged glances with Maggie, impressed by Eleanor's honest yet age-appropriate explanation of addiction to her granddaughter. "The notebook said Amber planned to come back after 30 days, Ryan explained. "But that was 4 months ago. Did something happen that prevented your grandmother from continuing to care for Noah?" Lucy's small fingers traced patterns on the game board. "Grandma got sick too. Different sick. She started forgetting things and sleeping all day." Lucy's voice dropped to a whisper. "One morning she couldn't stand up. Her legs wouldn't work right. That's when she told me I had to be brave and find help for Noah. And that's when you went to get diapers," Maggie supplied gently. Lucy nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "Grandma said if she wasn't there when I got back, I should find someone with a badge who could help both of us." She looked up at Ryan with sudden intensity. "That's why I knew I could trust you when I saw your badge in the parking lot." Ryan felt a surge of emotion at the child's simple faith in him. A badge representing safety in her uncertain world. "Lucy," Maggie asked carefully, "do you know where your grandmother might have taken Noah when she realized she was too sick to care for him?" Lucy thought hard, her brow furrowing with concentration. "There was a lady with red hair. She lived in a yellow house with flowers all around the door. Grandma said she was a safe person who helped babies find their way home." Another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Ryan had seen a list of local foster care providers in Eleanor's ledger. Perhaps the red-haired woman was a foster parent who had taken in Noah while Eleanor sought medical attention. "Lucy," Ryan said, "you've been incredibly helpful. I promise we're going to find Noah and your grandmother." Lucy studied his face with those unnervingly perceptive eyes. "I believe you," she said simply. Then, with a hesitancy that broke his heart, she added, "When you find Grandma, can I go home with her again?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications about a future that remained uncertain for this brave little girl who had already endured so much. 3 days. After being admitted to the hospital, Lucy was deemed well enough for discharge. The parasitic infection was responding to treatment, though doctors explained it would take time for her abdomen to return completely to normal. "Where will she go now?" Ryan asked Maggie as they stood in the hospital corridor, watching Lucy carefully pack her few belongings, Mr. Button her drawings and the blue crayon she'd kept since their first meeting. "Emergency foster placement is arranged," Maggie replied. "A good family, experienced with children who've experienced trauma." She hesitated. "But I've been thinking," Ryan raised an eyebrow. "About? I have the certification. My home inspection is current from my last placement." Maggie's eyes remained on Lucy. "I haven't taken a child in over a year. Not since my husband passed. But something about her." Ryan understood completely. Lucy had worked her way into his heart as well, in ways he couldn't have anticipated when he first spotted her in that parking lot. "Have you discussed it with your supervisor?" he asked. Maggie nodded. "Initial approval granted, pending final paperwork. But I wanted to run it by you first." You've become important to her, Ryan. Your presence would need to continue if I take her. Try keeping me away, Ryan replied with a smile that reached his eyes. Later that afternoon, Ryan drove them to Maggie's tidy suburban home. Lucy sat quietly in the back seat, taking in her new surroundings with characteristic solemnity. But as they pulled into the driveway of the modest two-story house with cheerful flower boxes, something shifted in her expression. It has a red door, she observed. Grandma always said red doors mean welcome. That's exactly right, Maggie smiled, catching Ryan's eye, with a look that said, this might work after all. Inside, Maggie had prepared a room with simple, comfortable furnishings. You can decorate it however you like, she explained as Lucy examined the space. Make it your own. Lucy carefully placed Mr. Button on the pillow, arranging him just so, before turning to inspect the window locks with practiced attention. They're very secure, Ryan assured her, recognizing the concern in her movements. And I checked the whole perimeter of the house. It's safe. Lucy nodded, visibly relaxing at his reassurance. That evening, as Maggie prepared dinner, a remarkable transformation began. Lucy, seated at the kitchen counter helping to tear lettuce for salad, actually giggled when Maggie's elderly cat, Professor, jumped onto the counter to investigate their activities. The sound, so unexpected and pure, brought Maggie to a standstill, tears welling in her eyes. Lucy, she said softly, that's the most beautiful sound I've heard in this kitchen in a very long time. Later, after dinner, as they settled in the living room to watch a cartoon that Lucy had selected with careful deliberation, Ryan received a call from Detective Martinez. We've got something, she said without preamble. Security footage from the bus station 3 weeks ago shows a woman matching Eleanor Mercer's description. She appears disoriented, unsteady on her feet. Any sign of an infant with her? Ryan asked, stepping into the hallway to avoid Lucy. Overhearing. No child visible in the footage. But here's the interesting part. She's being assisted by a red-haired woman who matches the description of Cynthia Walters, a registered foster care provider who lives 6 blocks from Oakview Gardens. The yellow house with flowers, Ryan murmured, remembering Lucy's description. When he returned to the living room, Lucy was curled against Maggie's side, her eyes heavy with sleep despite her evident effort to stay awake. The simple domesticity of the scene, this wounded child finding comfort in Maggie's maternal presence, tightened something in Ryan's chest. As Maggie carried Lucy to bed, Ryan found himself studying the photographs that lined Maggie's mantelpiece. Her late husband, Robert, their extended family, pictures from her nursing career. Spaces where a life had been built and lost and rebuilt again. Later, as they shared tea in the kitchen, Ryan filled Maggie in on Martinez's call. So Eleanor may have recognized her own deteriorating condition and sought help from this foster care provider, Maggie reasoned. That's my thinking, Ryan agreed. I'll head to Walter's place first thing tomorrow. A sound from the hallway interrupted them. Lucy stood in the doorway, her face pale. I had a bad dream, she whispered. About Grandma. She was calling my name, but I couldn't find her. Maggie immediately went to her, kneeling to offer comfort. Would you like some warm milk to help you get back to sleep? Lucy nodded, but her eyes were fixed on Ryan. Are you leaving now? Not until you're fast asleep again, he promised. As Maggie prepared the milk, Lucy climbed onto the chair beside Ryan, her small face serious in the kitchen's soft light. Officer Ryan, she said quietly, do you have a little girl at your house? 2? The innocent question caught him off guard. No, I don't have any children. Don't you get lonely? She asked with genuine concern. Ryan smiled gently. Sometimes, but I have friends, and now I have you and Maggie to visit. Lucy considered this thoughtfully. Grandma says everybody needs a family, even grown-ups. Your grandmother sounds very wise, Ryan replied, thinking of Eleanor Mercer's evident sacrifices for her granddaughter. She is, Lucy said with absolute certainty. Then, with the directness that continually surprised him, she added, if you can't find her, could you and Maggie be my family instead? The question hung in the air, simple yet profound, from a child who had already lost too much, yet somehow maintained the courage to hope for connection. Before Ryan could formulate a response, movement outside the kitchen window caught his attention, headlights sweeping. Slowly across the front of the house, a car passing with deliberate slowness before continuing down the street. Lucy had noticed too, her whole body tensed, eyes widening with fear. "They're still looking," she whispered, pressing closer to Ryan's side. "They found us." Morning sunlight bathed St. Mary's Church in golden light as Ryan approached its weathered stone steps. The famous stained glass windows, depicting angels in vivid blues and ambers, cast colorful patterns across the worn floor inside, creating what Lucy had called angel light. After the unsettling incident with the slow-moving car the previous night, Ryan had stationed a patrol unit near Maggie's home and spent hours making calls. His search had led him here, to this peaceful sanctuary where, according to shelter records, Eleanor Mercer had sought assistance 3 weeks earlier. Father Thomas, a silver-haired man with kind eyes reminiscent of Eleanor's, greeted Ryan in the vestibule. "Officer Harris, I've been expecting your call since I heard about Eleanor's granddaughter being found." Ryan's surprise must have shown on his face, for the priest smiled gently. "Small towns, officer, news travels. Besides, I've been concerned about Eleanor since we helped her get to the shelter. Her condition was deteriorating rapidly." "So she came here first," Ryan confirmed. Father Thomas nodded. "She was disoriented, weak. Said she needed to find a safe place for her granddaughter but had to take care of Noah first." He led Ryan to a small office. "I contacted Cynthia Walters. She's one of our parishioners and a licensed foster parent. Cynthia took the baby temporarily while we got Eleanor to medical help." "And where is Eleanor now?" Ryan asked, the question that had been burning in him since Lucy was found. "Riverside Care Center," Father Thomas replied. "It's a residential facility for the elderly. She was admitted through their charity program after being stabilized at the hospital." Ryan's heart raced. Lucy's grandmother was alive. An hour later, he stood outside room 217 at Riverside Care Center, steeling himself for whatever condition Eleanor Mercer might be in. The nurse had briefed him: untreated diabetes, early-stage dementia, physical weakness from long-term malnutrition, a woman who had sacrificed her own health to protect her granddaughter. Eleanor sat in a wheelchair by the window, a thin figure with silver hair neatly brushed, her hands folded in her lap. Though frail, her posture held the dignity Lucy had tried to describe. "Mrs. Mercer?" Ryan said softly, approaching slowly to avoid startling her. "I'm Officer Ryan Harris." Her head turned, eyes narrowing with immediate suspicion at his uniform. "Police," she said, her voice stronger than her appearance suggested. "Have you come to take me away?" "No, ma'am," Ryan assured her, showing his badge. "I've come about Lucy." The change in her expression was immediate. Fear, hope, and dread flashing across her features. "You found her? Is she safe? Did they hurt her?" "Lucy is safe," Ryan said quickly, pulling a chair closer. "She's receiving medical treatment for a parasitic infection, but she's going to be fine. She's staying with a qualified foster parent named Maggie Donovan." Tears filled Eleanor's eyes. "She made it. My brave girl found someone with a badge just like I told her." She reached for Ryan's hand with surprising strength. "She was so sick by the time I couldn't walk anymore. I was afraid." "She followed your instructions perfectly," Ryan assured her. "She even kept trying to get diapers. For Noah." He paused. "Mrs. Mercer, can you tell me what happened? Why were you and Lucy hiding?" Eleanor's expression hardened. "My son Michael got involved with the wrong people, distributing prescription medications illegally. When he tried to quit, they threatened him." Her hands trembled. "Slightly. He disappeared 18 months ago. Then those men came looking for something they claimed Michael had hidden. Records, names, evidence. They thought I knew where it was." "And did you?" Ryan asked gently. "No, but they didn't believe me." Her gaze turned distant. "They said they'd take Lucy if I didn't cooperate, so I took her and ran in the middle of the night. We've been hiding ever since. Ryan thought of the ledger found in the hidden apartment, the careful notes about medications and deliveries. You were helping Amber Collins, too. Eleanor nodded. She lived near our hiding place. Another victim of these people, addicted to the very pills they were distributing. When she decided to get treatment, she had no one to care for Noah. A faint smile touched her lips. Lucy adored that baby. She was such a good helper. Where is Noah now? Ryan asked. With Cynthia Walters. When I realized my health was failing, I knew I had to find safe places for both children before I couldn't function anymore. Tears welled again. I sent Lucy for supplies, hoping she'd find help. I used the last of my strength to get Noah to the church. Father Thomas contacted Cynthia. Her voice broke. I never made it back to Lucy. I collapsed at the bus station. Ryan filled in the remaining details of Lucy's journey, how she'd been found, her insistence on helping her brother, the mysterious condition of her stomach that had turned out to be severe parasites. We survived on whatever food I could get cheaply, Eleanor explained, shame coloring her voice. Sometimes expired, contaminated apparently, and I had no money for doctors. You did everything you could to protect her, Ryan said firmly. Eleanor's eyes, so like Lucy's in their directness, met his. Will I lose her now? After everything? That's not my decision to make, Ryan replied honestly. But I can arrange for you to see her. Would you like that? More than anything in this world, Eleanor whispered. Later that afternoon, Ryan watched through the window of Eleanor's room as Lucy entered, Maggie waiting, respectfully by the door. The child stopped, frozen for a moment, then launched herself forward with a cry that held both joy and relief. Grandma! As grandmother and granddaughter embraced, Ryan saw Lucy's small hand reach up to touch Eleanor's silver hair, as if confirming she was real. And in that moment of reunion, despite all the uncertainties that still lay ahead, he witnessed healing begin for both of them, a fragile trust in the future rekindling after months of fear and hiding. Outside in the hallway, Maggie wiped tears from her eyes. Family found, she whispered. Whatever happens. Next, this moment matters. Ryan nodded, thinking of Lucy's question from the night before. Could you and Maggie be my family instead? The answer, he realized, was no longer either or. Family could expand, connections could multiply. Whatever the future held, this brave little girl would never again have to face it alone. The reunion between Lucy and her grandmother marked a turning point, but it was only the beginning of a complex journey. As Ryan gathered evidence against the pharmaceutical distribution network that had sent the Mercer family into hiding, strange incidents continued to occur. An anonymous call to the foster care office inquiring about Lucy, a dark sedan spotted near the hospital during one of her follow-up appointments. We're increasing security, Ryan explained to Maggie as they sat on her porch one evening, watching Lucy tend to the flower boxes she had eagerly adopted as her responsibility. Martinez thinks Michael Mercer's former associates still believe Lucy or Eleanor knows something valuable. Do they? Maggie asked quietly. Ryan shook his head. Not consciously. But Eleanor kept detailed records of everything. Names, dates, delivery locations. Information that could dismantle their entire operation. Inside the house, Lucy hummed softly to herself as she arranged her drawings on the refrigerator, a sound that would have been unimaginable when Ryan first found her in that parking lot, solemn and silent with her package of diapers. I've started the foster care application process, Maggie said, changing the subject. There's been some concern about my age and widow status. Ryan frowned. That's ridiculous. You're the best thing that's happened to that child. I was a pediatric nurse for 30 years, Maggie replied with quiet determination. I understand her medical needs better than most 20-year-olds would. She sipped her tea thoughtfully. Besides, we've connected. You can see it happening, her walls coming down, piece by piece. It was true. Lucy's health continued improving with proper nutrition and medication. The swelling in her abdomen had noticeably decreased, and her energy levels were rising daily. Most remarkable was her emotional transformation, moments of genuine childlike joy breaking through her serious demeanor more frequently. The following day, Ryan accompanied Lucy and Maggie to visit Eleanor at Riverside Care Center. Despite her medical challenges, Eleanor's mind was clear today, her eyes bright, as Lucy proudly showed her the latest drawings and reported on Professor the Cat's antics. During a moment when Lucy was distracted by a therapy dog visiting another resident, Eleanor grasped Ryan's hand. "Officer Harris," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something important about Michael's records." Ryan leaned closer. "What about them, Mrs. Mercer?" "I hid them," she confessed. "Not because I was protecting Michael, but because I thought they might keep Lucy safe. Insurance, if those men ever found us." Her voice dropped further. "There's a loose floorboard under the bed in our hiding place. Everything is there. Names, locations, amounts. Enough to stop them for good." Ryan squeezed her hand gently. "I'll find it. I promise." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for finding her, for keeping your promise to protect her." Across the room, Lucy laughed, a clear, uninhibited sound, as the therapy dog performed a trick. Eleanor and Ryan both turned to watch, witnessing a moment of pure childhood joy that had been denied to Lucy for too long. "She's healing," Eleanor whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "On the inside where it matters most." Ryan nodded, thinking of all the invisible threads connecting these lives that had become so unexpectedly intertwined with his own. A brave little girl, her sacrificing grandmother, a compassionate foster parent, and, somewhere, a baby boy who still needed to be officially found and protected. "We all are," he replied softly. The evidence hidden beneath the floorboard proved more valuable than anyone could have anticipated. Within days of Ryan's discovery, federal agents joined the investigation and coordinated. Raids disrupted the distribution network that had terrorized the Mercer family. 6 arrests so far, Detective Martinez reported, spreading photographs across Ryan's desk. 2 more pending. Eleanor's meticulous record-keeping was the key. Dates, amounts, license plate numbers. She documented everything. Ryan nodded, unsurprised by Eleanor's thoroughness. That same careful attention to detail had kept Lucy alive and relatively healthy during their months in hiding. "What about immunity for Eleanor?" he asked. "She was never involved in the distribution, only documented it after they threatened Lucy." "Already arranged," Martinez confirmed. "Her testimony will be crucial, but she won't face charges. The DA recognizes she was protecting her granddaughter." Later that afternoon, Ryan visited Lucy at Maggie's home. The transformation in the child continued to amaze him. Her cheeks fuller, her movements more energetic, and most notably, her abdomen returning to normal size as the parasitic infection retreated. He found her in the backyard, helping Maggie plant tulip bulbs for spring, her small hands carefully patting soil around each one. "Officer Ryan," Lucy called, waving. Dirt-covered fingers with a freedom that warmed his heart. Gone was the wary, watchful child who measured every movement and word. "I brought something for you," Ryan said, presenting a small package. Lucy wiped her hands on her jeans before accepting it. Inside was a new eye for Mr. Button, expertly matched to his remaining one. "Now he can see properly again," Ryan explained as Lucy's face lit with delight. "Can you fix him?" she asked, already running inside to retrieve her beloved teddy bear. While Maggie prepared lemonade, Ryan carefully sewed the new button eye onto the worn teddy bear, conscious of Lucy's solemn supervision of this delicate operation. "There," he said, holding up the restored Mr. Button. "Good as new." Lucy examined his handiwork with careful scrutiny before nodding approval. Then unexpectedly she disappeared into her room, returning with something clutched in her hand. "I made this for you," she said shyly, presenting a homemade card decorated with a childish but recognizable drawing of a police officer holding a little girl's hand. Inside, in careful block letters, she had written, "My Police Dad." The simple inscription caught Ryan, completely off guard, touching something deep within him. He looked up to find Maggie watching from the doorway, her eyes suspiciously bright. "Thank you, Lucy," he managed, his voice rougher than usual. "This is the best gift I've ever received." The following day brought another milestone, Lucy's foster care placement review. The panel questioned Maggie extensively about her age, living arrangements, and ability to manage a traumatized child with ongoing medical needs. When things seemed to be turning against Maggie's application, Ryan stepped forward unexpectedly. "I've been a police officer for 20 years, he stated firmly. "I've seen thousands of family situations from the worst to the best. What Lucy and Maggie have built together in just a few weeks is extraordinary." He described Lucy's transformation, the trust being established, the healing underway. "This child has found her home," he concluded. "I respectfully ask this panel to recognize what's already working." After deliberation, the panel approved Lucy's temporary placement with Maggie, with a review scheduled in 6 months for potential permanent arrangement. As they left the hearing, Lucy walking between them holding both their hands, Maggie leaned toward Ryan. "That was quite a testimony, Officer Harris," she said softly. Ryan smiled, watching Lucy skip ahead to examine a butterfly on a nearby bush. "Just telling the truth as I see it. And as for being her police dad?" Maggie's eyes twinkled. "Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Ryan thought of the card, now carefully positioned on his desk beside his badge. "I think I've been preparing for it since I found her in that parking lot," he admitted. "Some connections can't be explained, only honored." Ahead of them, Lucy turned, her face alight with simple joy as she called, "Hurry up! The butterfly is waiting to show you something beautiful." And in that ordinary moment, Ryan recognized an extraordinary truth. Sometimes family forms in the most unexpected ways, creating bonds that no official document could fully capture or explain. As weeks passed, the investigation expanded across state lines, revealing connections to similar distribution networks in neighboring communities. Ryan remained involved professionally, but his personal focus had shifted to the small family unit forming between Lucy, Maggie, and himself. Sunday dinners became a tradition, with Ryan arriving promptly at 5, often bringing small surprises, a book about butterflies after Lucy's park encounter, a set of colored pencils when she outgrew crayons, a bird feeder they installed together outside her bedroom window. These weren't just gifts, but bridges connecting her past to her present, helping her build a future where simple pleasures could be trusted. One such Sunday, as Maggie prepared dessert, Lucy led Ryan to her bedroom, eager to show him something. "Look," she said proudly, gesturing around the space that had transformed from a guest room to a child sanctuary. Drawings covered one wall, a gallery of Lucy's artistic progress. But what caught Ryan's attention were the framed photographs on her nightstand. Eleanor in her younger days, Maggie laughing in the garden, and Ryan himself at Lucy's side during a recent trip to the park. "This is my forever room," she explained with newfound confidence. "Maggie says the pictures help keep people close even when they're far away." "That's absolutely right," Ryan agreed, touched by his inclusion in her collection of important people. Lucy's medical appointments had become less frequent, her therapy sessions showing remarkable progress. Dr. Patterson, her child psychologist, had noted Lucy's resilient spirit and growing ability to express feelings that had once been locked away. Most children who experience prolonged stress develop protective mechanisms, she explained during a consultation with Ryan and Maggie. Lucy's was hypervigilance and emotional containment. The fact that she's now laughing freely, expressing preferences, even occasionally testing boundaries, these are all healthy signs of a child who's beginning to feel secure. The most significant breakthrough in the case came unexpectedly. a rehabilitation counselor from Hope Center, reviewing success stories for their annual report, contacted authorities after recognizing Amber Collins's name in a news article about the distribution network takedown. She completed our 30-day program 4 months ago, the counselor reported. But she had no home to return to, no way to contact her former neighbor who was caring for her son. She's been in our extended recovery housing, working at a local cafe, saving money to start over. Ryan and Martinez conducted the interview at a small coffee shop near the recovery center. Amber Collins was a petite woman with tired eyes but a determined expression. Her hands shook slightly as she clutched her cup, but her voice was steady. Eleanor Mercer was the only person who treated me like a human being, not just an addict, she explained through tears. When I decided to get help, I had nowhere for Noah to go, no family, no friends I could trust. She wiped her eyes. Eleanor offered to care for him while I completed treatment, said her granddaughter was a natural with babies. And you never returned for him, Martinez noted, her tone neutral but pointed. Amber flinched. I tried. When I finished the program, I called the number Eleanor had given me, but it was disconnected. I went to their hiding place, but they were gone. Her voice broke. I've been working double shifts, saving every penny, trying to find them, and prove I'm worthy of getting my son back. The pieces clicked into place. A mother desperately seeking treatment, a grandmother suddenly too ill to continue caregiving, and a child taking on responsibilities far beyond her years. Noah is safe, Ryan assured her. He's with a licensed foster parent named Cynthia Walters. The relief that washed over Amber's face was palpable. Can I see him? I know I don't deserve to just walk back into his life, but family reunification is possible, Martinez explained. But it will involve court oversight, supervised visits, proof of stable housing, and employment. I'll do anything, Amber vowed. I've been clean for 127 days. I never want Noah to see me the way I was. Later, as Ryan drove back to town, he called Maggie to update her. Should we tell Lucy? Maggie asked. She still asks about Noah almost daily. Ryan considered this. Let's wait until the first supervised visit is arranged. She deserves to see that her efforts to help Noah weren't in vain. As he hung up, Ryan realized how thoroughly Lucy had changed his perspective on his work, on family, on what constituted a life well lived. 20 years enforcing the law had shown him countless broken systems and shattered families. But Lucy's story was teaching him something different. How healing could happen, how broken pieces might be reassembled into something new and beautiful. The distant light of possibility was growing stronger, illuminating a future none of them could have imagined when this journey began. The family court was quieter than the criminal courts Ryan usually frequented, its walls adorned with children's artwork rather than stern portraits of judges past. Today, in a small conference room designed to feel less intimidating, Noah Collins would be reunited with the little girl who had fought so hard to protect him. Lucy sat between Maggie and Ryan, wearing her favorite blue dress with butterflies embroidered on the collar, a special outfit for a special day. Though they had carefully explained what would happen, uncertainty clouded her expression. What if he doesn't remember me? She whispered, fidgeting with the hem of her dress. Babies don't remember faces the way we do, Maggie explained gently. But they remember feelings. You took good care of him, so he'll feel safe with you, Ryan added. And you'll get to meet his mom, too. She's been working very hard to get better so she can take care of Noah properly. Lucy nodded, processing this information with her characteristic thoughtfulness. Like Grandma is working to get better at Riverside? Exactly like that, Ryan confirmed. The door opened, and a social worker entered with Cynthia Walters, the red-haired woman from Lucy's descriptions, carrying a chubby-cheeked infant with wisps of blonde hair. Behind them came Amber Collins, visibly nervous but maintaining a composed dignity. Lucy froze, her eyes widening as she took in the baby who had occupied so much of her concern these past months. Noah, she whispered, rising slowly from her chair. Cynthia approached, kneeling to bring Noah to Lucy's eye level. "Noah, this is Lucy. She helped take care of you when you were smaller." Lucy reached out a hesitant hand, gently touching Noah's fingers. "He got so big," she said in wonder, her face lighting up when Noah grabbed her finger in his chubby grip. "He's very strong now," Cynthia confirmed, "and healthy." Amber watched the interaction with tears streaming down her face. When Lucy finally looked up at her, the young mother knelt beside her son. "Thank you for helping Eleanor take care of my baby," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You were very brave." Lucy studied her carefully. "Grandma said you were sick but trying to get better." Amber nodded. "I was very sick, not the kind of sick doctors can see right away, like your tummy was. But I went to a special place to get help, and I've been working hard every day to stay healthy for Noah." "I got better too," Lucy said, gesturing to her now normal abdomen. "The wiggly things are gone." A look of understanding passed between them, two souls who had faced different challenges, but found their way toward healing. The meeting continued with gentle conversation and supervised play. Lucy showed Noah how to stack soft blocks, demonstrating the same careful attention Eleanor had once taught her. Ryan watched with quiet pride as Lucy navigated this emotional reunion with remarkable grace. Afterward, as they drove home, Lucy was unusually quiet, staring out the window at passing scenery. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Maggie asked. "That was a big day." Lucy nodded slowly. "Noah's mommy loves him a lot. I could tell." "She does," Ryan agreed. "And she's very grateful to you and your grandmother for keeping him safe. Will he go home with her soon?" "Not right away," Ryan explained. "First, they'll have more visits like today. Then longer visits. The judge wants to make sure everything is ready and safe before Noah goes home permanently." Lucy considered this thoughtfully, like how I'm staying with Maggie while Grandma gets better at Riverside. "Similar, yes," Maggie confirmed. "Everyone wants what's best for Noah, just like we want what's best for you." That evening, as Maggie tucked Lucy into bed, the child asked the question that had clearly been forming in her mind all day. "If Noah can go back to his mommy when she's better, will I go back to Grandma when she's better too?" Maggie sat on the edge of the bed, choosing her words carefully. "Your grandmother loves you very much, Lucy, but her illness is different from Noah's mom's. The doctors aren't sure if she'll ever be well enough to take care of you all by herself again." Lucy's face fell, but she nodded with understanding beyond her years. "But no matter what happens," Maggie continued, "your grandmother will always be part of your life, and so will I." She smoothed Lucy's hair gently. "And so will Ryan." "Like a family puzzle with extra pieces," Lucy suggested, her creative mind finding the perfect metaphor. "Exactly like that," Maggie smiled. "A family puzzle with all the pieces we need, just arranged in a new way." Lucy hugged Mr. Button close, his two matching button eyes catching the soft lamplight. "I like our puzzle," she whispered as she drifted toward sleep, "even if it's not like other people's puzzles." In the hallway, Ryan waited with 2 cups of tea. "Extra pieces?" he asked with a raised eyebrow, having overheard the conversation. "Apparently. We're a family puzzle," Maggie replied, accepting the cup with a warm smile, with a very wise little girl at its center. Ryan couldn't argue with that assessment. Some puzzles came with a picture on the box to follow. Others had to be assembled piece by unexpected piece, creating a design more beautiful than anything that could have been predicted at the start. 6 months later, on a crisp autumn morning, the county courthouse steps were bathed in golden sunlight. Lucy stood between Maggie and Ryan, wearing a new yellow dress and a smile that reached all the way to her eyes. Her transformation was complete, not just physically, with her now healthy body and boundless energy, but in the confidence that radiated from her every movement. "Are you nervous?" Ryan asked, straightening his rarely worn tie. Lucy shook her head. "Judge Williams is nice. She told me last time that today is just making official what's already true." Maggie chuckled. Out of the mouths of babes. Inside courtroom C, the adoption proceedings were brief but meaningful. Judge Williams, a grandmotherly woman with kind eyes and a firm voice, reviewed the documentation before addressing Lucy. Directly. "Young lady, I understand you have quite a few people here supporting you today." Lucy nodded solemnly. "My family puzzle," she explained, causing ripples of affectionate laughter throughout the courtroom. Seated in the front row was Eleanor Mercer in her wheelchair, frail but clear-minded. Today, her silver hair arranged neatly for the occasion. Though unable to care for Lucy independently due to her ongoing health challenges, Eleanor had become a regular presence in her granddaughter's life through weekly visits at Riverside and special outings when her strength permitted. Beside Eleanor sat Father Thomas and Cynthia Walters, whose early interventions had helped set this healing journey in motion. Detective Martinez had come too, along with several officers from Ryan's precinct who had been touched by Lucy's story. "The court has reviewed all the documentation and recommendations," Judge Williams announced. "It is my pleasure to approve the adoption of Lucy Mercer by Margaret Donovan, with Ryan Harris legally recognized as godfather with specified visitation and responsibility rights." She smiled warmly. "In simpler terms, this family puzzle is now officially recognized by the state." The bang of the gavel was met with applause, and Lucy launched herself into Maggie's arms with a joyful squeal that would have been unimaginable on that first solemn day in the parking lot. As friends gathered to congratulate them, the courtroom doors opened to reveal a special surprise Ryan and Maggie had arranged. Amber Collins entered, holding Noah's hand as he toddled carefully beside her. After months of supervised visits, parenting classes, and continued sobriety, Amber had regained full custody of her son just 2 weeks earlier. Lucy's eyes widened with delight as she rushed to greet them. "Noah, you're walking now." The toddler grinned, showcasing his new teeth before lifting his arms to be picked up by his old friend. "Congratulations, Lucy," Amber said warmly. "We wouldn't have missed your special day." Later, they gathered at Oakview Gardens Park for a celebration picnic. The same park where Noah's mother had once sat crying, where Eleanor had delivered medications to a struggling young woman, now transformed into a place of joy and new beginnings. As the adults chatted and prepared food, Lucy helped Noah explore the playground, her patient guidance showing the same care Eleanor had once taught her. "Full circle," Maggie observed, standing beside Ryan as they watched the children. "From a parking lot with a package of diapers to this." Ryan nodded, thinking of all the unlikely events that had connected their lives. "She saved us as much as we saved her." Eleanor, seated nearby, overheard and smiled. Lucy has always had a gift for bringing people together. Even before she could speak, she was building bridges between hearts. That evening, as Maggie tucked Lucy into bed in what was now officially and forever her room, the child looked around at the photographs now filling her space. Pictures of Eleanor, Ryan, Maggie, Noah, and Amber, forming a visual representation of her journey. "I used to think family meant people who look like you," Lucy told Maggie with unexpected wisdom. "But now I know family means people who find you when you're lost and love you when you're found." Maggie kissed her forehead, too moved for words. In the doorway, Ryan watched the tender scene, remembering the solemn child with the mysterious swollen belly who had captured his heart with her courage and determination. The mystery that had drawn him in had been solved, but the connection it created would last a lifetime. As Lucy drifted toward sleep, her hand rested peacefully on her now healthy stomach, no longer plagued by wiggly things or painful swelling. Mr. Button, with his matching eyes, sat watch from the pillow. Beside her, a steadfast companion from her old life to her new one. "Good night, my brave girl," Maggie whispered, adjusting the blanket around Lucy's shoulders. "Good night, Mama Maggie," came the drowsy reply. The new name Lucy had chosen herself, honoring both her past and her present. Then, with a sleepy smile toward the doorway, "Good night, Police Dad." Ryan's heart swelled as it did each time she used the term. "Good night, Lucy. Sweet dreams." And for the first time in her young life, Lucy Mercer Donovan could count on exactly that. Dreams that were sweet, in a home that was safe surrounded. By a family created not by circumstance or blood, but by choice and love, and the healing power of second chances.